All right. So we're on air, everybody. Welcome to Android Coliseum's Friday Night Hangout. This is number 19. We're almost at 20. Then we'll do Sarah and 20. So welcome. It's March the 8th, 2013, and another week has gone past, and it's time for us to sort of ring in the weekend as we hang out with our enthusiasts here. So let's list them off. Who's here? So my far, I think that's right. We've got Tom Gray. We've got Sylvain Laboris, Ryan Moore, myself, Mark Lestuca, and last but not least, Cass Morrison. We are missing tonight Brandon Starcevich, who is off working this night. But Brandon, we miss you here, so I'm sure you have some points and we can discuss. As again, like I said, there were Android Coliseum. This is our weekly hangout, a chance for us to discuss some of the weekly topics we've had on Android throughout the past week. And here to give our opinions is the writing staff here at Android Coliseum. So we have, a bunch of agenda things to talk about. You can go and look at that online. We've posted a link for our agenda. It's in the YouTube link. It's in a bunch of different areas as well. If you want to interact with us, interact on the Hangout topic. We're watching that. Watch the YouTube video. We're watching our Twitter. We're watching our Facebook. As many ways as we can. And again, just to give you guys, where we're finding, AndroidColiseum.com, Facebook /Android Coliseum, Twitter @Android Coliseum, Facebook or Google+, you'll find us ton of stuff on there. Okay, so let's dive into it and let's take a look at what are the topics we have this year. One of the first things we want to talk about is the fact that 1 year ago, a few days ago, the Google Play Store came into existence. We changed over what used to be the Android Marketplace to the actual Google Play Store, which is a really cool feature because I wasn't big on it in the beginning. It sounded kind of lame. But when you think about the fact that it's got, we now sell music and movies and magazines and books, etc., and devices now, it really needed to have a store name. And the Google Play, Play fits right in the Google sort of atmosphere. So they turned 1 year old and they had a bit of a sale going on. Not a great sale. We've seen better sales when they hit the 10 million mark and the 25 million or whatever mark, the 25-cent sale, the 10-cent sale. There was a $1 sale. This one was a bit of a lackluster, but there were some deals. Anybody pick up any of the deals this past week from the sale? I know I picked up the free book they offered.
I did. Yeah.
Anybody don't know? There was a lot of in-game changes. They added an Android guy for this. They did an Android guy for that, or a little feature here and there. They did some cheap rentals. Nothing that blew my socks off that I would have really assumed Google to have done.
Don't bite my head off, but I got the Hunger Games trilogy for $5.
So did I.
It's better than the Twilight series.
I got the last book a long time ago for more than $5. Once you read it, you know what happened.
I don't care what trilogy you're reading for $5. That's for
a lot of
$3.
words.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. The dollar per word count is very low.
And I subscribed to 3 magazines.
Did you? Good.
Yeah.
And they were 50% off the magazines. I was debating with. I just haven't never got into reading magazines just because I'm an RSS reader guy. I've gone to that media, so to me to go back to a magazine, even though it's digital, I found it a little hard. But so that's happened. Today was the last day for the sale, so if you haven't had a chance to check it out, go to the Play Store. You'll see the link on there now for the Google Play Store. Then you can take a look at the movies you can rent or buy for cheap. Take advantage of that if that's something for you. And following along with the Google Play Store, something that happened recently in the UK, which I was really excited to, because this was maybe imminent for Canada next, was the idea of Google Play gift cards. I was really hoping they were going to it became available in the UK, and the States have been out for a while, which was really nice because if you bought your son a tablet to play with, or you bought your parents a tablet to play with or to use, but you didn't want to burn up a credit card, you could go out and buy the Play cards and give it to them, and then they could buy apps with that, and not start spending crazily with a credit card or whatever it might be. You could give it away as gifts. I could ask people to send me gift cards, for my birthdays or whatever. Right now, it's only available in the States and in the UK now. Hopefully this means that Canada comes next. I really hope so, because you open that door, who knows what else might start to follow. We started getting the magazines and stuff like that, so maybe we're going to get music next, Google Play next. I can keep hoping, right? Who would use the play cards? Who would use? I would give them away like candy.
I would receive them.
I would ask to receive them.
I would give them away. One thing
you could give them to us, Tom.
Is I wish I could gift apps to people. I know I can share links, but I wish I could buy my wife a game. Here, I buy this for you. Or, that would be the alternative is play cards. I would totally buy that. But Google isn't like Canadians too much, so we'll have to wait.
Well, I would find them useful because with my Google TV, I don't link it to my personal Gmail account or my wife's Gmail account. We made a separate Gmail account for the Google TV. And it'd be nice to be able to have like a gift to that, instead of having to put my credit card in or my wife's credit card in or something, then I could use the gift card on that or buy a gift, like on my account, say I'm going to buy this app, but it's going to go to this Gmail account. If we could do that. Mark, I know you've got a Google TV. You got a comment?
Well, actually, it has more to do with. I know there was a recent article in the news. Maybe last week or this week or something, where there was that one kid who ended up spending $2,500 in the iTunes App Store on in-app purchases, and it was one of those things that got me thinking. And it said that it'd be great if what they should do is they should like have a tablet and they should create an account that has no credit card associated with it. And then what you could do is if you wanted, like, then the kid could get as many free apps as they want without having to use their credit card. But that's another thing, is if you wanted to give them some limit, you could add a Google Play gift card without having to have a credit card on the account, and that would limit how much they could spend.
Yeah. I know I've never tried before though with myself. Can you use like one of those like vanilla MasterCards on your Google Play account? And because like that has a limit. Once you reach the $25, it's done. It can't charge anymore, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't use a vanilla card. They're too expensive.
Yeah, it's like
because you end up losing probably 25% of your card value through their charges.
Oh, wow.
I was appalled.
Well, no, I bought a few of them for Christmas gifts, right? Yeah, and it was like an extra $250 to buy the charge or whatever. And if you don't use it in a certain amount of time, you lose it. So, anyways, that's a whole other topic we can get into and those things. Moving along, as those who are playing the home game here, as I call it, the next thing I want to talk about is the Galaxy S4. The Galaxy S4, on the 14th or the 15th are they releasing it? I can't remember. 14th, I think it is. So the Galaxy S4, this thing is going to be the huge buzz about it. I know Cass is already getting her wallet ready. I think it's really cool the fact they're getting rid of the Roman numerals. They're going to change it up a little bit. I mean, I hated calling it S2, S3, S4. I call it something different, but at least they're going to say S4 and use an actual, number for versus not a Roman numeral, right? So it's a bunch of new things they're going to talk about. We were talking in the pre-show about the FOLED screen, the Qi wireless charging, a bunch of cool stuff they're going to have in it. So I don't know, Cassie, you're looking forward to it. Do you have any comments on that?
Oh, I'm just really looking forward to what they do. The thing that makes me hesitate is how big they're getting. So it's gonna be one of those things that I might have to hold it. I was surprised at how comfortable the S3 felt in hand, even though I look at it and I think, holy crap, that's huge. I have small hands, so I'm not changing until December. It's my birthday. By then it'll be here.
It's a 5-incher. I think that's what they're saying, right? A 5-incher.
That's what they're saying, but like edge to edge, that's going to be.
It won't be too much bigger than, let's say, a Nexus 4 or a Galaxy. It's not really that much of a bigger difference.
No, depending if it is edge to edge, it could be quite a reasonably small form factor, and it looks like it might be more square too.
Yeah, it's well again, if you want to believe the rumors and the renders and whatnot, right? I mean, it's funny because like we're now looking at a 5-inch screen, going, okay, that's just what it is, right? And then remember the Dell Street that came out, and
Yeah, I
everybody like,
remember that.
whoa, whoa, what is this weird looking 5-inch? Oh, that'll never fly, and they got rid of
Square.
that pretty quickly, right? So yeah, it's pretty weird. Tom, you like to buy phones fairly often. Is this going to be the next one you're going to take a look at Expansys on, or?
Probably. I probably won't buy the North American version, mind you. I'll probably import the international just because they are huge when it comes to the XDA forms, and they see a lot of developer support, where North American models probably only get 20% of what the international would get in most cases. But that being said, going back to what you guys are saying, edge-to-edge screen, I really, really hope so. I want that bezel to be like nothing. And I remember when the Note 2 and the S3 came out, Samsung had said in their next generation of Samsung device, and they're talking about the S4, this is like months ago, they said they're going to incorporate many more motion and touch gestures in the next one. They said it will like astonish you. So they're kind of leaving you teasers and giving us a lot to think about. Because I mean, I remember before you just hover your hand over the sensor of your phone, you get that quick peek of missed messages and stuff like that. It was called quick peek.
Show me my messages.
Yeah, exactly. And they really like that.
Oh,
Like a lot of people respond well, and they really want to implement more stuff like that on there. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But let's hope that they don't bog down the system and we see TouchWiz turn to Sense back in the old days.
Yeah, I found that when they talk about Sense, sorry, Mark, just a moment. When they talk about Sense, it sounds really intrusive, whereas the Samsung stuff just sounds like add-ons that you can take off. Like you don't want it to turn, you don't want it to stay awake, you just turn that option off. It's really easy. Okay, Mark, I'm sorry.
But it just looks ugly. It's just that blue on green ugly.
Well, I know they had
Mark,
there was the rumors about the what was it, the eye tracking, where as you get to the bottom of the page, then it auto scrolls down or something. So it'll be interesting if that rumor comes true, because that is something where you just.
Where'd he go?
I think we lost Mark.
And he was just going to say what was interesting.
You're looking at your phone. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Now
you're
we
back.
can.
I'm back? Okay, good. I didn't lose myself.
So we got to the part where you were talking about looking at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, when you get to the bottom of the screen while you're reading, like a web page or something, then it'll keep scrolling up automatically as you're getting there, so you don't have to swipe or something. Which that would be interesting if that rumor came true, because that would be a very neat feature.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, aside from the S4, we're hearing more and more about the HTC One. I got my contact sending me a new email a day, it feels like, about the new features that they're announcing in the HTC One. And I personally am really a little more excited about this HTC One. I really like the fact that looking at it and going, it's got ultra pixels. It's going to have this. I did an article the other day about their dual mic, dual sensitivity mic, so an HDR if you were in the microphone. So, and it's coming out pretty much the same time that the S4 is coming out. And they're talking huge. This is going to butt up head-to-head to the S4. I mean, obviously the Galaxy brand has really had itself far away in terms of popularity. So I don't think they're going to be quite the competition. But at the same time, I think they're both going to be releasing a top-tier device. And I'm really personally interested in the HTC One, just because I'm looking at some neat new features instead of extra novelty add-ons, personally. That's my opinion. This is what we love about Android. It's the fact that we can have a ton of different options in them. So, Cass, you're an S4 fan, so I'll let you have that one last rebut.
Well, just before, and then it'll be back to Mark again. I'm just thinking, is HTC Samsung's competition, or is that going to be LG? Because to me, it seems like LG is the one that's really pushing. They've got a lot of the same features. They're suing
the
Samsung
G Pro
in South
versus
Korea.
the Note 2.
they are they're sort of being the Samsung to Apple, the LG to Samsung kind of thing.
Who knows? I mean, they're the dark horse, right? They're new. Not I wouldn't say they're new at it, but in terms of being a top tier device, they're fresh on the market in terms of that. All right, Mark, your comment?
They definitely had solid phones.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of us here have it, so.
Yeah. What it's kind of like if you look at Samsung, they're basically like a rolling freight train. They've got a lot of momentum going towards them that they've built up through their marketing campaigns, and like they have quality hardware and everything, and they have these marketing campaigns that they've just put so much money into, and that's kind of where HTC has really they may be able to put together really good hardware, and now they may have excellent software, but they really need to get people to try their phones and to use their phones. Like when people think of they think of smartphones, they think of Apple and Samsung, and that's something that HTC has to work hard if they want to get any kind of market.
They've got an uphill battle in popularity to go against. So, okay, so on and on. So a couple other things that popped up this week. Those of you who don't know what Humble Bundle is, Humble Bundle 5 with Android came out recently. A great opportunity basically to pay whatever you want for a couple apps. The money that you pay goes towards helping the developers of those apps and charities. So you could go in and say, I'll pay 2 cents, and you'll get 4 really good games that are good for your PC, your Mac, your Linux, and your Android device for 2 cents if you wanted to pay 2 cents. Or if you paid more than what the average what everybody else was paying, you can get 6 apps. And again, an idea to help out charity. I really like that. So, I don't mind paying for that. So, anybody else try Humble Bundle? Anybody? I know I bought mine. No? Mark, you bought it? Which was your favorite of the bunch?
I haven't got around to playing any of them yet, but what I do find is that, and Humble Bundle has been around for a bit now. I don't know if it's been a year or something, but it's gotten popular at least. And it's a very, good premise where they encourage people to keep, like, it can be a moving average. The average is going, and if you pay more, then you get more, pay more than the average, and it kind of encourages people to keep pushing the average up and up and up, if you want to get those, until there's a certain point where you go, it's maybe not worth it to get those games for that much, but you're getting some quality stuff out of that. So I've downloaded a few of the games, but I haven't had a chance to delve into them yet.
I've tried them. I really like them. Cass, you had a comment?
I know I got the last one because I really wanted Machinarium.
Oh, yeah. Good game.
I found that I didn't actually play that many. I like the Humble Bumble book series better because it's more my type of thing. But it's definitely a great way to fundraise for a charity. If you can always just give $3, $5. You just won't get the extra.
Yeah. Again, same thing. I think you guys are saying the other ones. I think this is number 5. I bought all 5 so far. I think out of all of them, I think I've played maybe 3 of the different apps that I've ever gotten. And again, it's more for the fact that I get to try a new game and I'm donating to a cause, which is a good thing. So similar to the Humble Bundle that came out, an actual Canadian program called Mobaroo came out recently, where you can pay $5 a month and you can have any game you want. I don't know what the restriction. I haven't tried it, but apparently they're doing it right now where they're actually giving you a discount for $2.50 a month. It's all you can game on Android. So kind of like I guess Steam or something like that. However it works. I'm not much of a gamer. So anyways, a Canadian program getting some speed behind it there, so called Mobaroo. So check the agenda. We'll have some information there. Okay, so we have 2 polls this week to talk about as well. The first poll I did on, I think, Tuesday. I saw an ad in our community newspaper talking about a course on Android photography, which I was instantly ready to ridicule it. But after a while, I kind of thought, you know what, I'm interested. I'd be interested to hear what opportunities are out there. So so here's the take on that one. And let me just pull up the results. And so I asked you guys, would you take a course on Android? Before I give you the results, anybody here, would you guys take a course on Android? Tom?
Oh yeah.
Would you take one? What kind of course would you look at if you were to take one?
I would go into hardware development and maybe into software app development. I would actually want to design an actual phone hardware inside and maybe even go into operating system building. I mean, I love my themes, I love my ROMs and everything like that. If I could really customize and tailor it to fit me perfectly without having to rely on other people's work, that would be amazing.
That is a big undertaking.
It's
For sure.
really big, yes.
Sylvain, would you take an Android course?
No.
No?
But now
Other
that you
guys-
mentioned something about photography, I might,
Yeah.
but on my Nexus, I wouldn't get what I want with photos, so probably not yet.
Personally, I would. I mean, I'm one of those guys. I'm an enthusiast at Android at any level. I would take a course, even though it might be some sort of rinky-dink. But the thing is, I'm always looking for, is there something I'm missing? I never know. I never want to assume that I know everything about it. I want to take a look at what the opportunities out there. Mark, what's your thoughts? Would you take an Android course?
Yeah, I don't think I would take a course. There's too many resources on the web and everything that you can get a lot of that stuff for free, right? So I mean, like Tom said, software development. I mean, there's some excellent sites, like I think I mentioned last week, where you can pick up, and a lot of people have given their 2 cents and their tutorials up the yin-yang on how to do development. As long as you know the basics to the like Java and everything, you should be able to pick up a lot of that stuff.
Sure. Cass, what's your thought? Would you take an Android course?
I know when I first started, I found it very frustrating. I would have, if somebody had said, here, I'll give you, and I used to do it for people when they got a new computer. I would spend 30 minutes with them, show them around their computer, show them how to set up their email, give them some starters. And I think that Android could benefit a lot from that. You'd see people maybe changing away from their default screens. But I would also take one. I would also take one to like, I see some really cool home screens that people have done where they've used graphics and simple text and stuff like that. And like Sylvain knows, I'm not that confident when I'm doing stuff. So what do you mean I look evil? So, I think that there's a lot of people that are more on my level. They would like to do more, but they would just feel more comfortable if someone was there with them.
No, and it's something when I think back to it, whenever we talked, and I used to be a sales guy for cameras and whatnot, and a friend of mine who runs a camera shop, we're making fun of her lighting behind her. Anyways, one of the things one of the guys I know started doing was saying, well, you know what? If I'm going to sell you a digital camera, it's no good for me to sell you a digital camera if you walk away and I get frustrated by it. So he started not worrying about the price, but started worrying about the education of the product after, saying, I'll tell you what, if you buy this, I will give you a course on how to use it properly. It may be just a 2-hour course, and I'll get 12 of you at the same time and offer it. So that's why I'm kind of thinking the same idea, and I'm looking at the results of my poll, and I'm taking a bit too longer than I wanted to. But the idea was, I wanted to say, would there be some sort of one evening course or a couple hour course? And I used to go to the library, and they used to have this thing called iHelp, and people who had no idea how to use their iPads or whatever, and I would go and just kind of help people understand how to use it. So primarily, those of you who said yes are doing it because they want to learn how to develop Android. And I guess this is a very skewed market, I guess I'm going towards. Those who are probably finding our blog and finding the poll are already into Android, and they probably really don't need to. But almost 50% said they would take some sort of course. Of those, most of them are primarily developing. A lot of people are saying no, well, maybe. But again, I look at it as, I'd really like to see what are the options out there. Is there something new and unique? Again, for the course that I was looking at, it's $30 for one evening course. Maybe I'll learn something. Who knows? For $30, I can't argue.
Seems
all right,
like
that's
a lot.
my poll. Yeah, it's not going to break the bank, but it's again, it's something that's my passion, my hobby. I'd really like to find out. So I'm thinking I might take it, and if I take it, I'll have to get you guys on the blog and tell you what I learned about Android photography, tips and tricks. All right, so now that we had a poll by Mark, who wants to talk about reading on his phone and tablet.
So yeah, I put together a poll for this. Now, the reason I put together is slightly a bit selfish. I was looking at whether I should buy an ebook with the Google Play or with Kobo, or where I should get it from, and I was kind of torn because there's a lot of advantages to different ones, and I kind of wanted to see what everyone else thought. So I put up the poll, and we got some results, and it's a little bit interesting. Actually, it's a lot of, for the most part, it's pretty well divided. So we have a lot of like the third-party apps such as Eldico and MoonPlus Reader, and most of those ones were used, or most of the people picked those ones because they like to have the freedom to put their own file types and to install their own and buy from any bookstore, which is true. That kind of the open DRM idea is a pretty solid method. The other big one was the Amazon Kindle, and that one because they like their cross-device syncing. A lot of the other ones, like the Kobo and the Sony, got hardly any reviews, even though they have the same advantages. They also have cross-device syncing, and they have their own e-readers that can do that. There was a few Google Play books, and that one, for the most part, I can understand that because its interface is good, and that's part of the reason why I was torn between Kobo and Google Play books, because the Google Play books for the Android app is so well designed, and it's missing some things. It's missing like you can't upload your own books, which is a concern that other people on the posts had. Is you can't add your own books from the internal storage that a lot of other ones can do. In the end, I ended up going with Kobo just because I have a Kobo e-reader, as you can see, and the syncing works between those two, and I just couldn't. In the end, what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to read it on the train, and I was worried that my batteries would die on the tablet and everything. So I ended up going that one just because I like the syncing. So I can see why people would go for the Amazon Kindle. It'd be interesting to see if Google would end up releasing an e-ink display. I don't know if that's in there, if that's really a big market for them, but that could be something they could want to do, but to get that cross-device syncing. But they really need to allow you to import books from your SD card into the app as well, because that's a very nice interface.
Cool. Okay, so if you guys haven't a chance to, you can still put your answers into the poll we have on the blog. So go ahead and fill it out. Let's hear what you guys are doing there.
Yeah,
Moving along.
Now that you know how far now that you know the results so far, you can sway it one way or the other.
try to get your friends to influence the answers.
Yeah.
The other thing we had this week in terms of polls, I had stats. I'm a stats and numbers guy. I love this kind of stuff. ComScore released their most recent data on Android or cell phone data for Canada, and this is kind of interesting because last time I saw their stats, it was Android and BlackBerry neck and neck, somewhere around the 34% range, with an iPhone taking 20% and the rest after that. So at this time around, Android is now up to 40%, and then I think iPhone was 24% or whatever, and iOS is or BlackBerry had really dropped like to 20 some odd percent, like below iOS. So A, Android's on top. B, iOS now bigger than BlackBerry in Canada. For reals, as Tom says. Yeah, interesting stuff. So again, and it's funny, we're talking about this as the more and more people we're starting to see with Android devices. I'm starting to see more emails come into my work account, with that little tagline, sent from my Android device, which I immediately start commenting on and saying, oh, which Android device do you have? Because I don't think they realize that that's on there. Anyways, so that was out there. And then now Tom has a couple things he wants to talk about, Clockwork Mod and Carbon.
Yes. Well, as you guys know, Sylvain and I usually like to compare our ROMs, because I know Sylvain's a really huge fan of the Android Open Kang project, where I stand on the other side of the pond, and I love my CyanogenMod. And one of the things that really makes me excited about CyanogenMod is Clockwork Mod, the basically sister and the other tools that really work together very well. And they've really been stepping up their game, Clockwork Mod. As we know, they have their ROM manager, and they came out with Carbon and stuff like that. But they're actually enhancing and really making more features that are going to be very user-friendly for us. For example, Carbon just updated today, actually, to give you the ability to back up your launchers. So for people who have like massive amounts of widgets all over the place, tailored and customized, and you hate having to put these things back in place, this will actually save it for you. And just to add a little point is Carbon actually doesn't require root access either. So you can do this on almost any Android device that will support it. We all talked about this about a week or two ago, where RAW Manager is doing Delta downloads and updates now, so faster updates for you on that as well. Clockwork Mod also brought out their new Super User, which is now incorporated into CyanogenMod. I'm not going to say it's better than the previous Super User, but it's made by the people for CyanogenMod, so they have full control to tailor it the way they need it to work for that ROM, and it will just be overall better for everyone in the end when they finally tweak it the right way. So, I mean, they're really stepping it up, and it's going to be a very joyous occasion, when they start pumping out, Keylime and everything like that, and really unify, and these things are built up and at their peak of, performance. But that being said, I've actually been having a little bit of issues with Carbon, and I wanted to get your guys' opinions. When it comes to backing up your Android device, do you use Carbon or do you use Titanium Backup, and why do you use one over the other? So go ahead, guys. Let me know what you're doing.
Well, for me, I prefer Titanium Backup. There's so many options in there. You can't go wrong. Well, actually, yes, you can, because you don't just press Backup and it's done. But you know what? If I just want to do system data or user data, I can decide what I want. I can't name them all. There's so many options, but I tried Carbon in the early betas, and it was fine, but I mean, I need more than just backing up an app and all the data. So that's my thought on it.
So go ahead, Cass. What do you choose?
I really like Carbon. I found Titanium Backup really confusing. Like, I wasn't sure what was going on. I didn't know what options to take, whereas with Carbon, I just go, okay, I want to back up. And really, I only back up my game data, because everything else comes back from the market. So,
pretty much, yeah.
So why not just do that? And you know exactly what you have, because the UI is really user-friendly.
Yes.
Mark, want to comment?
Yeah, I'm the same with Cass. I prefer Carbon. When I used Titanium, I got confused by it. I wasn't sure, like, if I backed up something and then uninstalled the app, it still existed in the backup, and then it got confused when it tried to do it. And if I canceled, it still said it was restoring. If I cancel restore, it still said it was restoring, and then it wasn't. And I got wholly confused by it. And Carbon, it's very simple. I usually let the phone also restore. When I restore a phone, I let it restore from the App Store, and then it'll run. And then once it's reinstall all the apps, then I'll restore from using Carbon, and it'll tell you if the app is installed or not installed. And if it's not installed, then it just skips it. If you want to reinstall it, then you just click and it opens the App Store. And it's a lot, it's a lot easier, especially if you're not rooted. It's Carbon is way better the way to go for that.
I agree with you guys when you say Carbon is more user-friendly. It is by far user-friendly over Titanium Backup. But I actually having a problem with Carbon, and what that is I like to schedule my phone to back up every night or every morning, I should say, at 3 a.m. while I'm sleeping. So when I wake up, everything's backed up. So if I want to flash CyanogenMod when I wake up and it screws my phone and I have to wipe and do everything all over again, it doesn't matter. I have a backup. I like to back it up to my Dropbox every morning. And Titanium Backup can do this, but so can Carbon. But when Carbon does it, it gives me an error every time. And I've tried different ROMs, I've tried different phones, but it always gives me the same error when trying to do an automatic backup to Dropbox or Google Drive. This becomes a big problem for me. When I do a manual backup, works no problem. I'm just not sure why. I have emailed them about the issues, and they say it's there, it works, so it might be something I'm doing wrong, or maybe you just don't like me. I mean, stuff like that happens. So, I mean, the last person who hasn't said anything yet is Ryan Moore, and I'll give the lead back to him, and he can also tell us what he uses. So go ahead, Ryan.
This is because I'm not much of a router or flasher, and I don't really buy phones too often, so I'm going to be pleading the ignorant case on this one. I really don't back up my phone. I mean, call it crazy. Even when I was on CyanogenMod, I really didn't back up my phone. I mean, for the primary reason of my photos are backed up in the cloud. The couple apps that I do want backups of, like my accounting app and my mileage app, they have a Dropbox extension for them, and so they automatically back those things up in the cloud. The only thing I would ever really care about backing up would be my
Angry Birds.
Angry Birds. But you know what? If I'm not at the same level again on the next phone, it just gives my son something more to do, right? So to be honest with you, the few items I ever really back up, I already backing up in Dropbox or CX or whatever it might be anyways. So I really don't. Now, if I were to choose titanium backup or carbon, I would probably choose titanium backup. I have used it. It is more complex. But it does give me more features like unfreezing apps like NFC, the wallet app, certain things that gives me some tools extra that I would probably use. So that's my choice. If I were to have to choose, I would say titanium backup just because I get a multi-tool versus just a backup tool. And for me, the other tools would be more important than just backing up because again, I have other options to way to back things up differently. Yes, I know it doesn't back up the same way, but I can still do the same stuff. That's just my thought. Mark, your thought.
Yeah, you mentioned losing your game data isn't a big deal for you. I find that if I have games that I invest time and effort into, and then I go and like for example, I'll install the same game on a different device, and then like if I play Angry Birds and then get to level XX or whatever, and then I go and I pick up my tablet and turn on Angry Birds and I'm back at level 0, I'm like, oh, this is a pain in the ass. I got to play all those levels again, and I end up I just don't want to play if I have to go through all those same levels again. So, to me, I get discouraged if I have to redo a lot of that work again, and I may not play them. So, to me, it's very important to have that.
And I guess, if I have really invested, but again, I'm not much of a gamer. I have Angry Birds on. I have those Humble Bundle games on. But again, I usually delete more games than install back and forth. There isn't much that I really invest a lot of time in, I would guess. I'm not sure. Cass, you had one last comment, or?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right. So that's my thoughts. So reviews this past week. We really haven't a chance. This is that weird time of the year where we're in between one device, time versus the next device time. So and even some accessories, they're sort of waiting for the next sort of wave of devices. I'm really waiting for that Tilt device to come out, wireless charging. There we go. Okay, so no reviews this past week. But let's go on to updates. In terms of device updates recently, those of you on CyanogenMod have seen the new milestones, CyanogenMod 10.1 M2. So if you're not a nightly flasher, you can update to the new M build. They have an M2. AOK Build 5 came out. So again, another milestone for that instead of just nightlies. Sony Xperia T got updated to 4.1.2, I think it was, 4.1.2. And same with the HTC One S on SaskTel and TELUS now have joined the Bell and Virgin models at 4.1 as well. So if you are one of those device users, go and update. Get the great things on those features because, again, one of the greatest things about Jelly Bean, Google Now. Awesome stuff. If you're not using it, you're not really experiencing Android yet. Apps. Holy crap, there's been a ton of app updates this past week. Facebook Pages updated recently. I can't remember what the update was there, but there was let you do some customizations of some of the pages. So those of you who manage your work Facebook page or something like that. Angry Birds, the Space app has now Slash, Guns N' Roses guy. has new music, theme music, and you get to see Slash as an Angry Bird. There's new levels in the basic Angry Bird game. Cut the Rope has some new levels. We have Chrome and Chrome Beta now having updates, and we'll talk about that in a second. Dash Clock had an update to change. You can have an analog clock on it. Endomondo provided some new updated features for the premium app, i.e. stuff like latitude, heart monitoring, etc. Adobe Reader, and again, we're talking about e-readers. Adobe Reader, just for their PDF, has now a place mark or bookmark syncing if you have an adobe.com account. So if you're reading a PDF on one device and you're logged in, you can save your position on that PDF if you go to another device and you're logged in. So that can save now. But let's go back quickly to the Chrome and Chrome Beta updates. Chrome Beta is something I've been running daily. That's my app, my browser now of choice. The new Chrome Beta, there's been a few updates this past week. One of the biggest ones, though, this week is the fact that if you're on Chrome Beta version 26 on your desktop and on your phone, you'll now get autofill syncing. Like, so if you're going to fill out a form with your address and your name and stuff, and you get password syncing, which is really kind of a cool feature. So that all the stuff, if I go to Amazon or whatever, I'm punching stuff in on some website, and it remembers my address information. If I go on my phone, I don't have to retype it out and make it save in there. It just pulls it in. And I think this is where the seamless sort of environment that Google provides is awesome. That it's no longer a device specific, it's a service specific thing. So that offers. And Chrome updated recently, and Tom, you're more of the Chrome regular stable user. You want to speak to the updates this week? I think we said it was just kind of a generic update, eh?
Yeah, they updated, but they never updated the change log. So I'm not sure if it was a simple bug fix or if they actually did, increase the pinch to zoom and the scroll responsiveness and yada, yada, yada. It was kind of like the same change log as before. But I did, however, show you an error that even the beta had, and even the regular one. That's when you're in your search and you already have results on the screen on the Google page and you're searching, you want to limit your results. Click on like the advanced search and you want to search within 1 week. You can bring up that little bubble where you can select 1 week, but it won't recognize your touches. I was explaining this to Ryan Moore before in the pre-show hangout, and even he had this problem on the beta build. So I mean, this is something that's clearly an oversight on Google's part for having the quote-unquote stable and the beta both having the same issue. So hopefully somebody's listening and we might have a fix one day.
Because we know Google listens to our Hangouts. They're like the FBI, the Big Brother. They always listen to all Hangouts looking for special words. Yeah, so that updated. Let's move along here. So now we're on to our App Coliseum this week. So this week we decided sometimes we put in stuff like, just generic or our top 3. This week we decided to tie it in with Mark's little poll about e-readers and see what you guys thought. So I'm just going to go alphabetically off this list here and go over to Cass. So Cass, what's your e-reader of choice?
So I'm going to talk about Zinio. I have been using Zinio for magazines for a long time because when I got my first Galaxy Tab, it had Zinio on it before it was available to Android. So I got a pretty basic magazine. Now that it's out for everybody, I have it on all of my devices, and I have Wired, Discovered Magazine, Braintainment. I like it because Zinio has a very, very wide variety of magazines other than Maxim, Esquire, Condé Nast stuff. So this is an example of how it looks on my tablet. And it's not showing up very well, is it? Because this is during the Hangout and it showed up just fine before.
No, it's pretty good right now.
That's not too bad.
So that's on my tablet and that is on my phone. See that okay? So actually my Zinio is the reason why I went to a larger tablet again from the 7-inch, because it's just easier to read. With this app, if you zoom into the page, let's see. If you zoom in, you can't you can scroll back and forth on the page, but you can't go to the next page. It does have for some of the, let's see, go
That's
back.
a minus, right?
What's that? Yeah, that is a minus.
Okay.
With it, if you are on your phone, for instance, you could just hit the text button, and then it would just show you the text.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have to watch the pictures, or wouldn't have to look at the pictures. Then it'd be like a PDF. And the thing that I do like about this is if you hit a link, it'll open up a web page. So I had that on another magazine. Just take a second. So here's Braintainment. It's a magazine from South Africa. It's actually kind of a fun magazine. And then if I hit the link, which I can't do backwards anymore. Come on. Again, this worked perfectly before the show started. There. So I hit the link, and now it's booting over to the page. If you, so this is a NASA page. If you like fashion magazines, it goes to the ads with the coupons, stuff like that. So it's kind of handy because then you can get that value added that you would want from having your e-magazine. So that's Zinio. It doesn't sync across devices, but it does allow you to grab any of your magazines. You can download them ahead of time and then read them when you're offline, which is
Really?
important. Well, yeah, like on my phone, it's on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And wherever my page is where it is.
Okay.
Okay, so it's Cass using Zinio.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at next alphabetically would be Mark. Your option.
So yeah, if you know me, I have a million e-reading apps, and it's not just they're there for no reason. I actually have, I have my feet in a lot of different stores here. Before there was a little bit, the prices were varied quite a bit, but now they're more competitive, so it's not as close. So the app I decided to go with, I've gone over Moon Plus Reader as the third-party reader app before. But I decided to go with, since it's not getting much attention, I decided to go with Kobo. If you don't know Kobo, they're an ex-Canadian company. They used to be fully Canadian. They got bought by Rakuten, which is a Japanese company. So now they run the show for them. But it's still kind of connected to chapters in that way. What I like about the interface. The interface is actually quite nice for Kobo. I can maybe do a screen share. I don't have my cable, so I'll just work with what I got here. So Kobo, as you know, it runs its own store, the Kobo store, and all the prices are pretty comparable to most of the other ones. So there's really no issue with getting more expensive or less expensive. If you pop open, I'll show you the structure of it is done pretty well. It follows the Holo theme, so it does have it does have the different drop-down menus, and you can pick between your library, between all books. You can discover new books. It has annotations, so you can add annotations. You can share to Facebook. Also, and I'll show it to you with my phone, but it has also its own social sharing system. It does do comics as well. I haven't had a use for it yet, but I guess it does. They do sell comics, and you can use it as a comic reader. Yeah, and it does syncing. It syncs over different devices. So if you have an e-reader, Kobo e-reader, then it syncs that. If you have just just your different phones and tablets, it all has apps for that. The one downside I don't like is it doesn't have the nice page turning animation, and I'll show that to you in a second here. Turn off screen share. So let me just bring the app up here. So here's the app that I have. it works pretty well. It has your different options. You can do discover a library, browse, and the reading life is kind of like it's an awards incentive based. So if you're reading apps, then it gives you little tags. It gives you how many hours you've read, a ton of achievements you get through. If you go back, so like if I open one of my books here, so like I show you the page turning animations aren't great. It's just like you tap and it just changes. I mean, it works, but it's not as nice as the Google Play, which has a nice page turning animation. This is the actual, if you tap down here, if you tap down at the bottom, let's see if I can't do that when I'm here. There's a little dots at the bottom there, and if you tap, it's hard to tap. It's easier on the tablets. Oops. It brings open. It can have like social sharing, and if other people comment on that page in the book, then you can see about it. And it has obviously spoiler alerts and everything. So that's a nice little touch. Has to it. Also, what a lot of people complained about, it does have, this one does allow you to, it'll scan your SD card and it'll load books from your SD card in there. So you can have those. The problem is it won't sync between your devices. It will only keep it on one device. So that's, it'd be nice if it could sync, but I can't, you can't expect them to do everything.
It does sync, Mark.
Even a book that you don't own? Or you didn't buy from Kobo?
Mm-hmm. And the book that I'm reading is synced.
Oh, I gotta see if that works then, because I haven't, because before I did. Maybe they changed that now and it does work.
It's updated.
Okay, I'll check that out then.
When you open it, it asks if you want to go to the latest page.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I guess then if it does do the syncing, then it's quite full featured for there. The only thing that it really gets me is the page turning animations, but to get the syncing with the with my e-reader, my e-ink display, which I can use on the bus and which doesn't drain battery like the tablets do. For me, it's worth it. So, yeah.
Cool. All right, so that's Kobo. Again, we just shared the links for that. Next will be me. Now, I know e-reading itself, I read a lot of books, and my favorite has been Aldeco. But I'm going to play it a little bit differently because I know we've talked about Aldeco before, and especially when we had the big discussion about Moon Reader versus Aldeco. I'm going to play it a little differently. I'm going to show you guys the one I really like in terms of reading for comics, and I don't really read that many comics, just a couple here and there. And I like to use Perfect Viewer. So let me share my screen here. I can show you what my what I like about Perfect Viewer. So let's see if this works out for you guys well. Hopefully. So the app I like to use here is Perfect Viewer. And it's going to be slow here for you guys. So what's really nice is that it loads a comic book page right in front. What I like about it the most is that I can assign different areas of the screen to a different function. And you can be right crazy. So dead center, if I tap it, it brings up my menu. And that can go to my bookshelf if I want to. You can see The Walking Dead. I can see that kind of stuff I have. But if I go to my settings, oops, let's go back into the book. And don't ruin it. I haven't read these episodes yet. So anyways, one of the things, like I said, I like about it is that if I go to the settings, let you guys get caught up here, and assign touchscreen functions. And they have the screen all zoned out to have different zones. And all I've done is very simply said, well, dead center means I go to the menu, previous page, next page. You can set up for gestures all you want, but I just really want to use just those two, especially those two spots, because when I'm holding the phone, that's where my thumb reaches. So I really like it. You can zoom in and out. It looks really nice. It's dead easy to use, and it just looks really, really good, and the colors are really well. I haven't had an issue on it. I like having my bookshelf have that look at here's my books, versus the playbooks, which has that sort of spanning library. I can go through and have that. So my choice is Perfect Viewer, and I'll share some links on what that is. And thanks for listening. So, perfect viewer. Next is Sylvain.
Yes, so my preferred one is Aldico, of course, but the one I keep reinstalling on my phone is the Amazon Kindle. So I'll just share my screen. Just show you quickly. Let's say I go in a book. It can load. So really easy. You can change a few options. White. You can go black, which is hard for me to read. So I just use a sepia. You can change the font size. You can change the margins. So that's really easy. No animations really when you change page. It just scrolls. There's no fancy animation just like Google Book. So yeah, I just keep it on my phone all the time because I have books that I didn't read yet, and I will one day. So that's about it. A nice app, nice UI. I don't think they updated it for a while. And I know that now they included the store within the app, so that's great. I find their book, for the price, it's pretty affordable. But yeah, I'm more into magazines now anyway. And I have so many books on Aldico that I need to read, so that's my take.
Okay. Cool. And we'll put the link up for that one very shortly. So his is Amazon Kindle. And last but not least, Tom, let's hear yours.
All right. Well, I think Mark had a comment before I start
Oh,
mine. So go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just one thing on well, that's always like I've liked the syncing that the Kindle does, but my always concern is that Kindle has always seemed to have a proprietary format.
Yes.
I don't know if they don't use the standard EPUB; they use their own, and I don't know if that can change if the authors can decide what they want to do or not. But I've always been kind of leery because if I ever wanted to leave Amazon, you'd be locked in with their own their own format and everything, while the other ones I can get, and some of the authors, like the author that I'm reading from, they're all DRM free ones he sells. So
I don't like Amazon because they bought Moby books, and I had a pile of Moby books from Moby formatted documents from when I read on my Palm, and yeah, I got nothing now.
Well, that's where Aldico is cool. You can just import them.
I don't know, either my files are really old or what, but Aldico won't read them either. Oh. I'm just sad.
If it's a DRM issue, if it's a DRM issue, and I think Ryan was getting at this, you can use Calibre to remove the DRM locks on them.
And it probably is a DRM issue.
Yeah.
All right, last but not least, Tom, sorry.
Moving along, I'm not a really big reader when it comes to books, but when I do read, I prefer the classic Google Play books. As almost everybody up here has said, it doesn't have the nice scrolling like Google Play books. Well, that's why I use Google Play books. So just for example, I'll jump into my favorite book inside Delta Force. And as everyone was mentioning, it has that scrolling animation. But what really sells me on it is the look, but also I'm able to make it black like I do with everything else on my phone. I know this isn't the only book reader that can do that, but the features that really appeal to me is I have terrible spelling, and my grammar and everything's horrible, so I can grab a word here, and it'll pull up a dictionary for me. Let's see. So, I mean, obviously that's an easy word, but I'm just using it as an example. So, it really makes it easier for me because I read a lot of books, and there's some really large words that writers use sometimes. And you're kind of going, well, how do I pronounce that? What does it mean? And then you have to hop on your computer, Google that. It's like, well, this makes it really, really easy. And it's really beautiful. I mean, again, I don't read books a lot, but I like the eye candy about it. And Google features and Google apps usually work the best on your Android phone. So if I don't have to stray away from Android's own Google native apps. I won't. So that's just my book, very quick. I'm sure almost everybody here has seen Google Books before, so I'm not going to bore you too much. All right, so that's my book, or my app is Google Books.
All right, I think we have some comments to go after that one. So, Sylvain?
Yeah, I just wanted to say about Google Books. The only thing that turns me off, because it's really, really nice for a reader, is the price of the books. And they're much more expensive than most of them. So
Unless you get a $5 trilogy.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
And
true.
they don't stay on your device either.
What did you say, Cass?
The
They
books
don't stay
are
on your
cloud.
device.
You can pin them though, just
You
like
can pin them?
I
that you can
suppose.
pin the book to your device.
So it saves it for offline usage.
And then
it's-
you can use Titanium Backup too. You know, so if you ever reflash, it comes back.
Always comes back a titanium backup.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is what I love about our app Coliseum. We get a chance to talk about some of our favorite apps. So again, for the next few minutes here, we're going to open it up. Oh, sorry, Mark. Go ahead, comment. I'm always cutting Mark off. Sorry.
You're chopped
You
liver,
don't
Mark.
like me, do you? Yeah. See what I liked about the Google Play is it's not just the animation, but it's the feeling too. The scrolling is just it's not even just that it's smooth. It's that it's actually like it gives you a nice feeling of using it. So every time I'm like, oh, I'll just use Kobo, whatever. It has a nice scrolling, but that's it. And then I open the book up and I'd use it, and I'm like, oh, this is just too nice to use and everything. But it'd be nice if they were able to upload your own books in there, and if you could read the internal storage. It sounds like something that Google should be able to do. Having the open ecosystem and everything, they should be able to do that. But for some reason, they can't do that yet. So I don't know. Maybe they're looking into it or something. I don't know. But
Who knows? Let's hope.
yeah, fingers
Right,
crossed.
I'm sorry for cutting off, Mark. It's not good. Okay, so again, as I was saying, this is one of the great things about the Android community and why I love our app Coliseum. It's a chance for us to see what are the different options out there. And again, things like the Kobo syncing between devices and importing, I didn't know. So I'll give Kobo another shot again. Who knows? Plus, it does comic books. Maybe I don't need to have Perfect Viewer anymore. So when we go off air in a couple minutes here, what are your choices? And tell us why. I'd like you guys to jump in on this Hangout and talk with us. I mean, Android, if anything, is a great community of people who are enthusiastic about the device, and there's no one right answer, and there's no one wrong answer, so long as it works for you. And because we are an open source system, we have those options. So I appreciate this time, and I appreciate to hear from everybody else out there as well. So I think at this time that brings us to the end of the Hangout. So again, from the guys here at Android Coliseum, thanks for tuning in this week. The links will be live on the website, so you can watch this Hangout anytime throughout the week. Listen to the MP3, MP4, however it is you want to catch up with us. But by all means, continue this conversation. And I'll say goodnight for myself, and I'll let everybody else, starting from Tom and moving over. So everyone else say goodnight, and we'll go into the off-air portion after.
Yeah, good night, everybody. Have a good one. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. See ya.
Thanks for stopping by.
See you, everybody. I want to make sure Mark was done.
Make sure I'm not cut off by Ryan again.